Hi everybody, this is Brian Lehman, the eHermit here, and this is VEDA number 5. I'm sort of in a catch-22. I'm not going to bed because I know I have a VEDA to do, and I'm also doing lots of other stuff like browsing and fighting with Amazon MP3 because I know I have a VEDA to do, and I, for some reason, don't feel inspired to get started on it. But, yeah, it's getting near 2 o'clock now, and it's time for me to get this done and get to bed. I was going to really try to get to bed early tonight, and that obviously didn't work. So, I am going to tell you, well, I'm kind of torn because I want these VEDAs to be, I want them to be relaxed conversations, and I don't want them all to be, like presentations that I'm doing. So I'm kind of torn between what I really should be doing and if the topic thing is really going to work. But if I don't do a topic, then what am I going to do, and how do I do a good VEDA episode and not bore you to death? So anyway, I figured I would tonight tell you a little bit about my son Jackson, who was in the last episode. Really, I wanted to just tell you a little bit about his name. His name is Jackson, and that was actually inspired from a series of books by Anne McCaffrey. And I've read before, you really shouldn't pick your kids' names out of books, but this was a name that I was very familiar with. I'd been reading Anne McCaffrey's books for years and years, and my wife had read them as well, and Jackson was just a name that just sounded right. And whenever I tried to pick a name for my firstborn son, that was the one that really fit right. Jackson in the books by Anne McCaffrey, he was actually born in the first couple chapters of the very first book, and there were till the end of the series, there were some 18 to 20 books. Her son, Todd McCaffrey, just in the past few years had taken over really doing the series. But Anne had been doing the series for a long time, and it's a story of, it's a tie between a science fiction story and a fantasy story. And really, some of the books that I enjoy the best are those crossovers. I think that science fiction is so deeply, when done right, is so deeply tied in with who we are as a people, and exploring our motivations and telling the story of our discoveries that go on in our life. So the Dragon Riders of Pern is the series that it's from, and it's all about a planet called Pern. And it's kind of a farm-based society, very agrarian, and it is their voyage really through a renaissance that is covered in this story. Now, the interesting thing is that at the beginning of all of the novels, Anne had a preface that described how Pern was actually one of the planets in the Rookbot system, and it was colonized by Earth years and years ago, and through various circumstances they lost contact with Earth and went through some hardships that really caused them to lose all of their advanced technologies. And what the circumstances are is that there's a stray small planetoid that kind of enters the system and allows something called thread to fall on the planet. And this thread is a very voracious all-consuming organism that wherever it lands, it just eats all organic material. It dies on stone. It's actually it does not do well in our atmosphere or in water, and so whenever it crashes down to the earth, it basically just sort of absorbs all of the organic material that it touches, and kind of burrows down and actually can have a large infestation in the planet. And the early colonists came up with an idea in order to fight these things, since all of their technology was failing. They were cut off from their ships that had landed on them on the planet, and they didn't see any hope of getting rescued very soon. So they actually bioengineered enhancements and improvements to the intelligence and size of some of the native creatures that were actually flying lizards. And anyway, this story chronicles some, I think, 1,500 years later, the adventures of the people who were living on the planet at the time. And they're at the point where they're rediscovering some of the technologies that their forebears had. And it's all about that. And Jackson is born in the very first book and saves the world by the end of the 18th or so, and just sort of embodied the characteristics that I hoped I would be able to engender into my son, and with the adventuresome nature, the desire to be virtuous. And now it's lost my connection.